everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Melody if you're new here, and I'm doing this gardening for beginners, like on a budget type of series over here on the channel. I wanted to touch this very quickly, which took me a hot minute to figure out myself, is how do you figure out when your last frost is, and when's your first frost, when's your last frost. So in my description and all my videos, I say I'm Grow Zone 7B. Very interesting thing that I did today. You will see this probably after my video about the difference between potting soil and seedling starter mix. And you notice I was picking out the twigs. You don't have to do that if it's for your plant. But if you're going to use that for a seedling, then you pick out all the, wood, sticks, twigs, which is normal to have in potting soil because it's for drainage. In seedling soil, there's just nothing but peat moss, some vermiculite, and perlite in there, and it has no food nutrients. So that is that video. Today, we're going to talk about how you figure out your grow zone. I said this in a live. You can go right under Google. Google is your friend for that. Maybe not for a lot of other things. Today, I just so happened to be looking up my grow zone. If you're new here, I had moved. So where I'm at now, I'm very close to the river. The distance from where I'm living now in the new homestead compared to where I lived before is about 8 minutes, 10 with traffic. Okay. When I went to, you can speak right in to find out what is your grow zone. You can speak it right into Google. That's what I did. And today it told me I was Grow Zone 7A. If you hear a little noise going on, that will be my little dog. She's rolling around making all kinds of funky noises. So today it is telling me I am Grow Zone 7A, between 7A and 7B. Okay, so that's one thing. You can find out your grow zone, which isn't really, really important, but it's something you probably should want to know. Okay, now let's talk about your last frost. How do you figure out when's your last frost date, what's your first frost date, and what does that mean exactly? Your first frost date is going to be when you're at the end of summer, heading into fall. You want to know when your last frost date is. For an example, I may have dirt on my hands. Let me give you an example. If you're going to do a fall garden, you would want to know when's your first frost. You want to make sure that the plants that you're planting out in your garden, you're going to be able to get a harvest off of them before the actual first frost comes in. And if they're not frost hardy vegetables, they will freeze. So again, your first frost is going to be when you get your first frost in your area. I happen to be in Pennsylvania, and geez, can you see her back here? Oh, look at her. That is little Miss Sophia making all this little, I don't know if you can hear it, these little noise and stuff, because her sister is down in the basement. I think when a toad came here, it might have had a mouse in it, and my dog has been hunting for that. Let me let her down the basement. Okay, I put her down with her sister. Anyway, so where was I? Your first frost, you want to know that for when you're doing like a fall garden. You want to be able to harvest things before the cold weather, ice comes in and destroys what you have out there. Now, if you're following along on this series to know when to start planting your seedlings in the house, please let me say this very clear. I said what you could plant in January, which was your cabbage, your broccoli, and cauliflower. I never got my cauliflower planted. It's not the end of the world. We are now the beginning of February. Let me see what the date is to be exact. We're in the first week of February. And you want to be careful how soon you start your seedlings. If you're okay with planting your stuff early, be prepared that you are going to be up-potting your seedlings as they get bigger. This is why a lot of channels tell you not to start your seedlings too early. They follow by a date. Have I planted my stuff a little early before? I have, but then I had to go from like I will show you. Like seed cell trays, I had to go from this. Then I had to go to this. This is just some broccoli. Then I had to go to this bigger container. And then I had to go to red Solo cups with drainage holes or styrofoam cups. That's one of the reasons why you don't want to start your seeds too early, because it's a lot of up-potting. So, excuse me. So you want to look at, 1, what is your grow zone? 2, you want to look up when is your last frost date. So when I was looking up my grow zone today, telling me I'm 7A, in between 7A and 7B, I've always been 7B. It's not really going to be much of a difference. I also looked up my last, wait, let me think a second. I looked up my last frost date, and it came up April the 11th through the 20th. That is when the slightest chance of getting, you know, a frost and damage my tomatoes or pepper plants. That's just a roundabout average. Now, as you see how crazy the weather is anymore, you can't always go by. See, they gave a pretty big, large number. April the 11th through the 22nd of April. There's that gap in between. If I was to put my stuff out on the 11th, it's very possible in between there, we're going to get a frost. It's happened before. Like I said, the weather is also different. I remember for years and years having everything in the ground by April the 1st. You can't really do that anymore because we have kooky weather, and you want to make sure that your plants, your seedlings, don't get hit with a frost. That's a whole other video. Okay, so I pulled out a couple packs of seeds just to give you an idea, because it took me a hot minute myself personally. So if you're new here, welcome, welcome. If you're following along so that you can grow your own food, welcome. I'm super proud of you for making the initial steps. I have quite a few people saying, yay, looking forward to the next video. So I'm going to teach you how to figure out, or how you can figure out, depending on where you're at, when is your last frost. So 1, you could go under Google and just ask them when your last estimated. It's just an estimated number when your last frost is going to be. Number 2, you can go onto Google. You can go onto the Farmer's Almanac, which is kind of weighing into being about the 20th on Farmer's Almanac for me. That would be April the 20th is most likely our last frost. Okay, so when you want to know when to start seeds inside the house, take a look at, I just have a couple random packs sitting out here. I haven't really started. I think this weekend I'm going to start my peppers. The reason why I haven't started my peppers yet is because my order is still not here from my gardener. No idea what's taking so long. Okay, so you want to go to a back of any pack of seeds, really. This is broccoli. This is cabbage. I pulled out gazinnia it's called. When you go to the back of it, it'll tell you start indoors in a warm, well-lighted area about 8 weeks before your last frost. I'm just reading the back of this envelope. 8 weeks before your last frost, or sow in full sun in a well-drained soil after the danger of frost. Okay, so this one's saying 8 weeks. I don't have a calendar right in front of me. Today is Friday the 4th of February. So you could go from the 4th of February. I'm hoping that I explained this correctly because I told you it took me a hot minute to try to figure out the way they put these numbers on the back of an envelope. So my frost date, we'll say, is April the 20th. So you would look at a calendar and you're going to go and count 8 weeks back from April the 20th, which, like I said, I don't have a calendar in front of me. You're going to go 8 weeks back on a calendar from when they say your last frost date is. The best way I can explain this. So if you count backwards from April the 20th, you count back 8 weeks. That's a pretty good time frame. There's a little bit of a small window there to when you can start your seeds. So something like a zinnia, gazania, this is in the zinnia family. This one's saying 8 weeks before your last frost to start it indoors. So I would go from April the 20th and I'm going to count back 8 weeks. And let me see, we're at the beginning of February. So if I wanted to, I could technically start these right now. The whole idea here is, my friends, is to look at the back of your seed pack. It will tell you when to start it, if it can be started in the house. It's going to give you in a lighted area about 8 weeks. I don't know if you could see that right there, 8 weeks. You're going to go into Google or the Old Farmer's Almanac, and find out when your last frost is. And you're just going to count backwards from, say, from April the 20th, you're going to count backwards, and that's when you would start your seeds. Now, as I was stating on why not to start your things too soon, is because of all the up-potting you'll have to do, which requires a lot more soil. You want to try not to have to up-pot too many times. Now, there's different ways you can plant. I'm going to say this real fast too, because I did this. It may not be up yet for me to show you. Let me think if I have one available. I'll use this as a reference. Okay, we're just going to use this as a reference, but I just did it to do a video on. So I'll give you a little insight. Also, wanted something, I don't know, maybe I should have just saved it for a whole other video, but like I said, when you're up potting, you're going to go from like a seed tray. This is to a 75 cell count. You're going to put your seedling soil in here. You're going to do 2 seeds per hole, which I will bring you back for that when I start my peppers. And once these come up, they're going to have 2 leaves on it. The 2 leaves is not considered the true leaves. So, to make it easier for you to be able to understand, when you have a total 4 leaves, you'll have the first 2, which is the seedling leaves. The 2 underneath of it that are going to come up is going to be considered your true leaves. And that's when you're going to want to take it out of this. And then you're going to up pot it. You can use red solo cups. You can use something like this. That's the whole idea about not having to up pot so much. You can go from something like this, like I showed you a few minutes ago, to the next size, to the next size, to this size, to this size. It's a lot, and it's a lot of plants to maintain. If you want to see how many plants I had in my dining room last year, I don't even have the other shelf set up yet. Go back, take a look. I filled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shelves completely full, tray after tray after tray. I've done it like that before. I started them the right time last year. You know, I had be prepared to have some incidents inside your house. Is it the perfect conditions for your seedlings to grow inside the house? No. But when you know your last frost date and you can directly sow something, if you're in that climate, you would just plant it outside. For an example, someone sent me a new seed that said it could be started 6 weeks. I don't have it right in front of me. 6 weeks before my last frost. So I can go out there, figure out where I want to put it, push it down into the ground, cover it up, and it will come up as spring comes up. But the percentage of us have to start our stuff inside the house. So the most important, this is the next step, most important thing to do, it's not a necessity to know where what your grow zone is. I'm in between 7A, 7B now because of moving. But the most important thing is to realize when is your last frost. Go under Google, you can ask it, you could type in your zip code, and it will give you, is going to be an estimate date. Mine was pretty far apart. What did I say it was? I think it was April the 11th through the 20th or the 22nd of April. So got to be very careful, you know, not to plant too soon inside the house because you're going to be doing a lot of up-potting. And if you could see how deep a red solo cup is when you put drainage holes on the bottom, this is going to be a lot of potting soil because you're going to go from seedling soil into potting soil. So just take a look at the back of your pack of seeds and it'll give you an idea if it's the type of thing that is okay with being grown inside the house, or is it something that doesn't like its roots touched. And if it doesn't like its roots touched, you have to wait till there's no danger of frost and you can put it outside and start it that way. But if you look at the back of any seed pack, like this one I'm just using as an example, says start indoors in a warm, well-lighted area. That would be with lights or in a really warm windowsill, a heat pad or a heating mat, whichever you can afford. I've said this a million times, you don't need really expensive equipment to grow inside the house, and you can do this on a budget. We're doing this all on a friendly budget. So you would look at the back and it says in a warm, well-lighted area about 8 weeks before your last frost or snow. So if mine is April the 20th, we'll go with that. I'm going to count back 8 weeks and know when to start my flowers. You could do the same for broccoli, cabbage. They kind of like going out a little bit while it's still cool. They don't really like the heat. And you also get a lot of bugs, so you might want to think about a little bug netting or something for that. But if I look on the back of this, it says start seedlings 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost. So if my last frost is April the 20th, I'm going to count back 4 to 6 and a half, actually. No, 4 to 6 weeks. I'm going to count back from, we'll just say April the 20th. Like I said, April the 20th, I'm going to count back, say 4 to 6 weeks. And that would be an adequate date to start this green sprouting broccoli right here. So let's take a look real fast at some Charleston Wakefield cabbage. This is saying start spring seedlings 4 to 5 weeks before transplanting. Start fall transplants 2 to 3 months. So this one is a little bit different. It's a 70 days from the time you plant it to the time you harvest it. So this one's saying 4 to 5 weeks before transplanting. This one's not giving you, let's see, days to germinate, 5 to 10. This one's not even being specific about starting this inside the house, actually. It just says start spring seedlings 4 to 5 weeks before transplanting. Okay, 4 to 5 weeks, count back from April the 20th. And that, my friends, is how you figure out when you should start your seeds. I also just taught you how to figure out your first frost, which is before we go into winter, and your last frost is when all we gardeners want to know so that we can start our gardens outside. So again, just look at the back of the package. It'll also give you a map right there. I happen to be in the green right there. And this is when you can direct sow this. It says April to June for this particular. It's spelled with a Z. It's not a regular zinnia, but it's in the zinnia family. For direct sowing, it'll give you, if you're going to direct sow that seed into the ground, gives you a map I'm in the green, so you look at the green, it's April to June. Anybody that's in the blue on the mat would be May to June, so forth and so on, if you can see that right there. So if you purchase some seeds, just take a look at, on the back, it'll tell you when you can start your seedlings. Now, peppers take a little bit longer, I think. So I'm just waiting for my order to get here. I could start some peppers that I do have here, and I'm probably going to do that this weekend. So when I go to plant my first pepper plant, I will bring you along. So if you're following along on this little step-by-step, get your seeds wherever. It doesn't matter what company. You don't have to buy the most expensive seed pack. You can do the dollar store. You can do Burpee. You could do, oh my goodness, I have so many. Let's see. You can do from a company if you're familiar with that, but you can go from Burpee, that's usually in a box store, American Seed, dollar store like I stated. If you garden before, obviously you have multiple seed companies you can pick from. I grabbed these from like a Home Depot, and I love them. They're going to be so different to incorporate in with my zinnias this year. Get your seeds wherever you can. Just remember this. I am going to be starting my peppers first. If you like hot peppers, they take a little bit longer to germinate, and they really like heat. So if you're doing this on a budget and you're following along, because I'm incorporating a couple different things into this video, peppers like heat. So underneath your tray, I'm just going to grab a tray. It's just empty because these are all washed. Underneath your tray, if you have a seed mat and you can afford it, it's like $24 on Amazon. If you cannot, just go out and get a heating pad. I've used a heating pad for years and years. You want to put the heating pad underneath the dome that comes with your set, the humidity dome. That will keep the moisture in, because your pepper seeds are going to take a hot minute to germinate, especially if they're hot pepper seeds. Hot pepper seeds take longer to germinate. That's just my experience. So I gave you a lot of information in one video. So that is how you can figure out when to start your seeds in the house, how you can figure out what grow zone you're in, how you can figure out when is your last frost date. Type in your zip code under Google, go on to Farmer's Almanac. It'll give you a date, and which is just an estimate, my friends. I've had friends a couple years back that put their things out because they thought it was safe, and then we got hit with a frost and they lost all their tomato plants. So don't be in a rush to want to get your stuff outside. Be super duper careful. No worries though, I will bring you along step by step. But just remember, you have to figure out when is your last frost for the state that you are in. And then after you know that, whatever, we'll just act like this is a pepper plant, pack of seeds, of peppers. You're going to go on the back of it, and it's going to say start indoors, 8 weeks. You're going to go, which mine we're just saying is April 20th. You're going to count 8 weeks backwards. So that is why they have that on there. Spacing, sometimes that's a whole other different thing. But as far as knowing your last frost date, your first frost date, type your zip code in, ask Google, go to Farmer's Almanac, and then look at your pack of seeds, which I said, get your seeds anywhere you can get them. I mean, I have seeds from my gardener, Baker's Creek. I really don't order from Baker's Creek, but a lovely subscriber sent me some seeds, and I did order a few things from Baker Creek this year for the first time ever. This is broccoli from a sustainable seed company that I've spoken about before. Get your seeds wherever you want. Dollar store, they're 4 for $1, and they do germinate, because I tried them last year for a couple subscribers. They absolutely work, and they're 4 for $1. So go out this weekend. Today's Friday. I'm gonna, well, today's Friday here for me. You'll probably see this on Saturday, because my video on the dirt that didn't, for some reason, I had it to go this way and it didn't record. It went this way and I didn't bother to redo it. It is what it is sometimes when you're the one-woman show over here at Bake a Leg and Let's Dig It Homestead. So sorry about that. But that is the difference in seedling soil and the potting mix. Okay, so focus on this because you're probably going to see this on Saturday. Go out and go get yourself some seeds from the dollar store. Get some tomato seeds, get some pepper seeds, get some broccoli, some cabbage, some cauliflower. Get whatever seeds your little heart desires. If you like hot pepper seeds, get them. If you like regular pepper seeds, grab them anywhere. If you already have them, let's go. Let's get them situated. I'm probably going to have to use some of the ones I have here because, like I said, my MI Gardener order is not here yet. So Joe sent me some seeds. A lovely subscriber sent me some seeds. So we're going to get ready in this series to get started on. I'm going to show you the heat mat, you know, so you know to go get a heating pad or a heat mat, but get your seeds and we're going to get started planting. But I want you today, my friends, if you're new here, hi, go figure out when is your last frost date so that you're not having to plant your seedlings and then in this, and then you're going to have to go to, should have just left it over here, to this size next, or the next size, to this size, to some styrofoam cups. You could go this size. You could go red solo cups. That's going to be an awful lot of up-potting to do. And that's why we gardeners all pay attention to when is our last frost, so that we're not having to up-pot too many other times. I will have a video coming out showing you how to get started planting the seedling in this. And I'm going to show you another way that you can also sow your seedlings. You know, it's just another way that you can sow your seedlings if you're interested. If you're new and you want to just stick to doing it this way, this never fails. It always works, my friends. So stay tuned. We have more videos coming out. And like I said, I will be bringing you along step by step in planting and everything you need to know to at least get started and on a budget. The seedling soil mix in the previous video cost me like $4 something. I rounded it off to $5. I also had seed start mix here. I already had that. And potting soil, it's just a suggestion. If you're going to do a large amount, you'll have to get the bigger bag. That's what I do. I usually go through 2 of those big bags. So when I do my seedlings, they will be in the seedling soil mix. And then when I go to up pot, it'll go in potting mix. But I will do a separate video on that as we're taking each step. So do me a favor this weekend, go get yourself some seeds, unless you already have them in the house. But please make sure you figure out what your grow zone is. But the most important thing to figure out is when is your last frost date. So figure that out by your zip code, and then you're going to look on the back of your seeds. This one says 8 weeks. You're just going to go from mine's April 20th, and I'm going to count back 8 weeks. And that's how you learn when to start your seeds inside your house. So I know I gave you a bit of information in this video, but hopefully that helps you out. So that is how you figure out when to start your seeds inside, and why do you not want to start them too soon, because then you're just going to constantly be up-potting and then up-potting, and it goes through a lot of soil. So hopefully you can understand my rambling. I tend to do that quite a bit, but I think you get the gist of it. Just go figure out when is your last frost date. Make sure you have your pepper seeds ready, because that is what we're going to be starting first on the channel. So figure out your last frost date, type in your zip code, get your hot pepper seeds ready, and make sure you have your seedling soil, or if you're going to use potting or make your own, which is very easy to do, get it ready, because we are going to get ready to start peppers. So make sure this weekend, you have your seeds ready, and you figure out when is your last frost date, grow zone that you're in, so that you know if you're planting yourself too early, because you don't want to pot too many times. So I hope that that was helpful, my friends. Just learning about when is your last frost date, and super easy. Use Google, say it, type it in, go to the Farmer's Almanac. It's on there. They'll give you 8 to 12 weeks. Some will say 4 to 6 weeks. You're going to go from your last frost date and count back that many weeks, and you'll know if you're on schedule or if you're planting your seedlings way too early. Don't worry about the gazillion channels that have already started. Worry about your grow zone and when is your last frost. Just count the weeks backwards, and then that will tell you when to start your seeds in the house. Everybody always gets that itch, including myself. Don't get it wrong, including me. But I only have broccoli and some cabbage going right now. We are going to start peppers over here on the channel. So get your pepper seeds ready. Let's get our equipment done this weekend and figure out when is your last frost date, and we're going to be good to go. So, and we're doing it all on a budget. Like I said, go get seeds anywhere you want. Home Depot, Lowe's, the dollar store, they all germinate. A seed is a seed. Put it in some dirt, it wants to grow. So I love you, my friends. I hope that was helpful, and I will catch you on the next video.